Hi guys! Welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. The theme of this episode is the best of ProRevenge. So the subreddit ProRevenge. That's what we're reading from today. The title of the first story is Don't Announce Your Engagement at Someone Else's Wedding or This Might Just Happen to You. Last summer, I was at a cousin's wedding. His bride and her family had been close with ours since before I was born, and the couple had known each other since they were toddlers. So it was a particularly exciting event for both sides of the family. However, after the ceremony was over and the party had only just started, one of the bridesmaids decided to announce her own engagement. The attention was immediately taken away from the newlyweds and brought to the bridesmaid, who I'll call Sarah, and her equally smug fiancé. My cousin's wife, I'll call her Emma, didn't make a scene or utter a single negative word about Sarah. She looked like she was on the verge of tears, but she kept grinning and acted very happy for the other couple. This was unusual, as Emma is typically quite confrontational and speaks her mind, no matter the consequences. Sarah later picked Emma to be the maid of honor at her own wedding, which took place last weekend. I wasn't there for it, but my cousin sent me some of the best bits on Snapchat and explained the whole situation. This is where the fun begins. Emma's two much younger sisters were the flower girls at Sarah's wedding. At the very last moment, Emma switched out the white petals in their basket to be blue ones she had secretly brought with her. She told her sisters not to say anything about it, let the bride see them until it was time to scatter them down the aisle. Sarah looked very confused upon seeing the blue petals, which didn't coordinate whatsoever with her theme. But of course, she didn't say anything about it in the moment. Most of Sarah's other bridesmaids were also Emma's friends, had attended Emma's wedding, and were in on Emma's scheme. At the reception, Emma's sisters and the other bridesmaids were tight-lipped when Sarah began demanding to know why there were blue petals. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse for not checking the flower girls' baskets before they walked down the aisle. Finally, it was time for the speeches. The speeches took place in front of a massive screen, displaying a loop of photos with Sarah and her husband, which had been compiled by Emma. Emma took the remote that controlled the presentation screen at first. She showed some pre-approved humorous photos of Sarah with Emma and other friends to facilitate a couple lighthearted jokes. And then at the very end, Emma said to Sarah that she must be wondering why there were blue petals instead of the white ones originally planned. That was when Emma displayed the last slide from her presentation. Emma announced in front of everyone that she was 5 months pregnant and that she'd just discovered the baby was a boy, hence the blue petals. The last slide? Her ultrasound picture. There were shocked yells and gasps. Sarah had a fit, but those involved in the scheme cheered so loudly that I sincerely regret watching the Snapchat recordings with headphones. Apparently, Sarah had been very nasty to her bridesmaids before, driving several of them away and forcing the others to pay ridiculous amounts of money for dresses. Emma and my cousin were eventually thrown out of the party, but they were all smiles. Sarah's fuming mother went to confront her outside, and Emma retorted with, "Gentle, gentle, I'm pregnant." I reckon Sarah doesn't speak to the majority of those bridesmaids anymore. Oh my god. Wait, I'm actually dead at that. I was not expecting that at all. I was like so confused. Why were they blue? Like what's so crazy about that? But that's crazy because I mean, honestly, you get what you give, right? At first I was thinking like, okay, that's kind of stupid. You just like wanted to mess up her wedding for no reason. But she just did exactly what her friend did at her wedding, which I think is funny. And also, if she was being a bitch to, which I would never do, but like to each their own, I would probably just like have a conversation with them. And I would not be able to like hold it back that I was upset about something and that like I didn't want to be her friend anymore. And I like there's no way that I could just go through with being a maid of honor or a bridesmaid to a girl that I didn't like because I'm just so my feelings are so obvious even if and I try not to be obvious about them, especially because like I don't ever want to be intentionally mean to someone unless someone's mean to me, then don't care. I'll be mean right back to you. But like say for example, one of my friends that I'm not like friends with anymore, but we had like a trio friendship and I'm still friends with one of the girls and we're both still friends, but we're both not friends with the other girl, if that makes sense. And, like, I feel like that happens a lot, and really nothing happened. It's just we, like, just I don't know, we just realized that we were so different from her, and it was really hard to, like, we weren't meant to be friends with her. Me and my friend are super similar. We, like, have a lot of the same interests. We have a lot to, like, talk about. And then our other friend wasn't ever really, like, interested in anything that we were interested in. And it seemed like she was like one of those people that was very self-centered and only really cared about herself. So, like, she would talk so much about herself and her situations that she had going on. And when it came to us, like, talking to her, she'd be like, "What? Like, she wasn't listening. Like, she wouldn't listen. You know what I mean? And so after a while, I started to, like, slowly not like being friends with her and not like hanging out with her, but we would all three hang out still as a trio. And I think, like, I wasn't mean to her, but I think just we had a hard time not getting along. Like, we were perfectly fine. It was just like we felt awkward around each other. And I know that she felt awkward around me too. I felt awkward around her. She felt awkward around me. Like, it was just so different. I don't know. Things change. It's fine. Like, it's really, we weren't friends for that long. So it was like we didn't really know each other that much. And we quickly realized that, like, we don't really know each other that much, you know, and we weren't really meant to be, like, friends. Even though obviously I know like, people can be friends. I don't know. There was a lot of things that went into it. I'm not even going to get into that because I feel like you just have to be there to know this girl's personality. And she's she's just a very hard person to be friends with. So, yeah. So I know that she felt like I was being a certain way towards her, and I felt like she was being a certain way towards me, but it was really like I was not trying to be that way at all. I was always trying to be as nice as possible, but I feel like it's so hard for me to hide, like, what I'm actually feeling and be, like, fake, which I guess is a good thing in retrospect because I don't know, I don't think it's a good thing to, like, be able to be so fake and not real about your feelings. So, I don't know, but let's read some comments. And then at Emma's baby shower, Sarah flaunts that she's dying. And at Sarah's funeral, Emma announces she killed her. And at Emma's trial, Sarah comes back as a zombie. No, I'm actually done. That's so funny. I hope y'all paid the wedding planner enough to deal with that shit. I wouldn't wish a bridezilla on anyone. The wedding planner ended up getting a lot of abuse. Yeah, this sucks. And everyone in this story sucks except the wedding planner. Honestly, I kind of agree with that. Like, I wouldn't be mad about an everyone sucks here verdict because I'm not even... I think I would agree with that. I feel like because we're grown adults, like, yeah, that's something that you would fantasize about, but actually putting that plan into action is a little bit crazy. Like, just have a conversation with them and probably just stop being friends with her if you don't like her. Someone said there's a lot of narcissism in there to unpack. If this was posted to our Am I the Asshole, it would get a resounding everyone sucks here. Well, revenge is malicious. Yeah, no, that sub is full of the same vindictive assholes on all those types of subreddits. They'd say not the asshole, she had it coming. It's so tiring seeing that shit all the time. Like, no, you can't just get a whole new set of friends at 28. One incident doesn't necessarily mean you should break up with someone or excommunicate them. It's exhausting. I mean, I get where you're coming from with that comment, but things build up a lot in a friendship. And I feel like it makes sense to not want to be friends with someone after, like, multiple incidents, or you're seeing it as one incident, but you don't know how their friendship is behind closed doors, you know? I feel like there's just a lot of nuance within that situation. The title of the next story is Guy Quit His Job Thinking He Became Rich. Hey, new to Reddit, I thought I would post my story here. I work for a construction company and we do remodeling on homes. We have a rule here that we get to keep anything we find behind the walls. We hired this guy, we really needed a worker badly, who was a total a-hole from day one. I've been working for this company for 5 years, and this guy has only been doing construction for 1 year after he got fired from his accounting job for getting a DUI. Anyways, he would always make fun of my clothes and my accent, and one day he went too far by telling my boss about my private Instagram account pictures. He got on my phone and looked through my Instagram page and showed my boss pictures of me smoking weed. Little did he know that my boss is my friend from 8 years when we used to smoke together before we both quit. I was so mad that he violated my privacy, and then I made a plan to F him over. He was the kind of guy who would always come in late and complain that trains or traffic is why he was always late. One day I overheard him saying if he won the lottery, he would quit his job for not getting the respect he deserves. You have to earn your respect here. One day, I bought some fake gold coins online. I put them in a metal box I found at the antique store and waited for a chance to hide it in a wall. Luckily, I did not have to wait long. The day he found the coins, it seemed like it was the best day ever. First thing he did when he opened the box, he called my boss an effing loser and quit immediately on the spot. He said, F this place, I'm rich. LOL. Little did he know was that was the best day of my life. After he quit, my boss told us that he was going to fire him anyways for always showing up late. I wish I could see the look on his face when he finds out the gold coins are fake. Best $40 I spent in my life. I apologize for my grammar. This just happened today and my adrenaline is pumping hard. Thanks for reading. Edit. These houses are bought at an auction. People don't live here, so everything is owned by the construction company. Imagine finding something in someone's walls. Like, imagine doing construction on like an old mobster's house or something, and then finding, because you always see in movies that like old mobsters or whatever, I don't know, mobsters or like old drug dealers, infamous drug dealers will hide their money in their walls. And just imagine, like, I would literally die for that. I would die for that. I would love to find some stacks of money behind a drywall. Oh my God. I'd be slaying after that. Okay, some of the top comments. What an effing moron. Before I get these appraised or even think twice about why these would be here, I'd better burn this bridge immediately. Best is telling his boss to F off because he's now rich. The keep what you find rule sounds extremely like a house rule, so I'm pretty sure the boss could have just said, no, you're on the job when you found that, and that makes it company property. Sounds extremely illegal, considering that everything in a house they're remodeling is property of the homeowner. Well, now we know that it's actually not because they're bought at an auction. Yeah, I still don't understand this part of the story at all. There needs to be more clarification on this finders keepers rule. If a property owner decides to use his wall as a safe and maybe forgets about money they had stashed away, why would it suddenly belong to the construction worker who found it? That makes no sense whatsoever. It seems like stealing if it's not reported to the property owner. OP says that the company buys the properties and then resells them, so it's company property, not a customer. Sort by controversial to see OP's comments. Okay. So they realized if he got a DUI, he doesn't think things through. I'd wager he was a shitty accountant as well because a DUI isn't going to be that big of a barrier. Yeah, actually, my own cousin got a DUI while being young and dumb, but he still landed a job at a good accounting firm. He even told them about it in the interview. They would find out anyway, so no point in lying there. He probably got fired there for being late all the time and acting like he's way above the job he was currently doing. The thing is, you have to get work to get there. That's how you prove your worth, not by being a douchebag. I just can't believe that people are late to work, because let me tell you, that's my biggest fear. Being late to stuff is my biggest fear. I will flip out. I will leave an hour before I need to leave. Like on the, say my work, it's my first day of work and my workplace is 10 minutes away, okay? I'm going to be leaving an hour ahead of time because I want to make sure, I want to see what the actual, because like, you know, at that time in the morning, it's different. And probably to get somewhere 10 minutes away, it's probably going to take 30 minutes because of the morning traffic. So I'm going to leave an hour early so that I know what time I need to leave in the morning. And then I'm going to leave like 10 minutes earlier than the time that I need to leave every single morning just to make sure I get there like with 5 to 10 minutes to spare. I will never understand how people can be, and I'm not even like a particularly type A person. I feel like I'm type A 0.5 B 0.5. I don't know. I just made that up. But I'm not like a type A and I'm not a type B. I'm just like in between somewhere in there because I'm very, very particular on like time management. I like to be on time. I like to not even be on time. I like to be early. And I don't know. It's just like I don't understand how people can be so careless to the point where you would show up late for work. And at my old job, my marketing job, the girl that I was actually just talking about that I was used to be friends with, I met her at my marketing job. And dude, the way that she would sleep through her alarm and not like and call us at our work started at 8 or 9 depending on which time you wanted to come in and leave by, but 9 was usually the typical time everyone would come in. She would call us at noon and be like, "Oh my God, I slept through my alarm." Like, and then she'd be like, she would come in and she would just act like everything's fine. The way I would be begging on my knees for my boss to forgive me if I did that. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. And mind you, we didn't make any money at this place. Like, we made shit for money. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm gonna, I'm making so much money at this job, I want to keep this job. To be honest, it was a terrible job and the most scary work environment ever. Like, we had to clock out to pee, even if it was like a 2-minute pee. It was crazy. I would actually be so scared to be late, even if I didn't care if I got fired. Like, I just don't. Oh my God, that's scary. I don't understand how people can be so loosey goosey with that kind of stuff. Like, I don't get it. The title of the next story is Fiancé Left Me Due to My Cancer Diagnosis. I Left Her Destitute. This has been 4 years ago, so the sting is gone and my revenge has been had. Sorry if this isn't the right forum. We dated for 4 years and had what I thought was a great relationship. We were both well-established professionals who both owned homes in the same neighborhood and both with daughters in the home. Her daughter was 11 and mine was 16 when we met. We had actually planned to get married, build a house, and raise the two together. We planned the house build because she had recently been diagnosed with a neurological disease that would eventually put her in a wheelchair and needs something ADA friendly. During the planning stages, I began doing landscape and construction projects on her home to increase the resale value. All in, I invested roughly $30K into the home, running everything through my side construction business for tax, permitting, and resale purposes. We had a contract that payment would be made upon the sale of the home. I produced invoices for each and every project, but never pushed for payment because of the prior agreement. Fast forward 6 months, we're looking at property to develop and finalizing drawings on the home when I began feeling ill. I couldn't eat, constantly vomiting and passing blood. I began noticing that my abdomen looked swollen, which was odd because we were both very clean eaters and were in the gym every day. So I went to the doctor and began having tests done. During this time, she began having small cognitive issues, and the stress of her current position was exasperating her condition. So she took a 20K per annum cut in pay along with a lesser position inside the company. After a month or so of different tests and a biopsy, it came back that I had a golf ball sized tumor in my stomach and would need to begin chemotherapy. So I began chemo and radiation treatments, which made me expectedly so extremely ill. She was spending time helping around my place on the weekends and staying over more, to the point that they were both at my home more than theirs. At this point, I suggested that we go ahead and put one of our houses on the market and move in together until the new house was built. I have great supplemental insurance as well as a long-term illness plan, so using that coupled with the sale of one of our houses would push us through comfortably and help to ease the financial stress on her. Shortly after this discussion, she became extremely distant. Her daughter wasn't coming down and hanging out with mine anymore. She had made excuses for not getting together. She quit driving me to treatments and stopped staying over. She then dropped a bomb, a sentence that will forever be burned into my psyche. I love you, but I can't see myself taking care of someone this sick in the long term, and I don't think we should see each other any longer. In a text message. It broke me, I won't lie. This was the first woman I had ever opened up to and planned a life with since my wife died when my children were 1 and 3. However, I tried to be mature about it. I forced myself to understand her position and to accept what I could not change. I calmly, the next day, gathered all of her things, packed them neatly, loaded them in my truck, and took them to her house to leave on the back porch while she was at work in order to avoid any awkward exchanges. Walking around the back and under the porch cover, I sat down a box and saw her in the back living room, on the couch, sleeping with a man that she had introduced me as a lifelong friend. I had dinner and drinks with this man and his girlfriend. We had gone on vacation with them as well. I never spoke of the incident with her and simply sent her a text later explaining that I would leave her things on my side porch to pick up at her convenience. I discovered 8 or 9 months later from his now ex-girlfriend that they had broken up due to him confessing that he had been sleeping with my significant other dating back to about the time we were finishing drawings on the new home. Now I'm pissed. Revenge time. At this point, I had finished chemo and radiation for the time being and was feeling healthier. I was going through some much neglected paperwork when I ran across the file that contained $32,680 in unpaid, long overdue invoices, which were promptly sent to my attorney to begin lien proceedings on the home. It turns out that I couldn't have done this a moment too soon because she was set to put her house on the market. Coupled with interest over the course of what was then 19 months overdue, the invoices were hefty. That, along with the agreement of settling them when the house was sold and attorney fees, left her with roughly $10K after the sale of the home and settling her current mortgage. She promptly had to back out of the purchase of another home and moved in with her oldest daughter, sister-in-law, and 2 grandchildren. She also had to leave her job and began receiving disability. I ran into her a little over a year ago, and she looked as if she had aged 20 years and was in the wheelchair we had talked about. We chatted cordially, but briefly, and I excused myself and went on with my day. A few days later, her younger daughter called me and spoke of me running into her mom, and could we hang out sometime? I gave her a vague answer, thanked her for calling again, and went on with my day. The ex then called me a week or so later and began apologizing for leaving me as she did. Again, cordial but short. I thanked her for calling and hung up. She began texting, and this went on for several weeks until one, she asked if I could ever see us rekindling what we had, to which I replied, I can't see myself taking care of someone so sick in the long term. Remember the box on your back porch? Did you think that lifelong friend brought that over to you from my house? Good luck to you. Goodbye. I sometimes feel guilt over this, but not much and not often. Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support. Ooh, slay queen. Honestly, I feel like that's a good type of revenge to get. Like, just subtle. She's regretting not staying with him, and her life obviously went downhill after being a shitty partner to him and cheating on him, which is actually so crazy. Like, that's so rude. Also, I don't know, how long were they together? We dated for 4 years? That's crazy. Like, what? I would not be leaving my partner of 4 years because they got a cancer diagnosis. Like, I mean, I guess because she was already in love with this other guy, so she found this as like a way out. Okay, whatever. That's not a good thing. Like, you're definitely a shitty person, but I guess that explains why you wouldn't want to spend like the rest of his time if he were to die. If my partner got cancer, I think I would quit everything and like never leave his side, because I would just be so scared and that he was going to die, and I would be so distraught about that. Like, the last thing I would ever do is break up with someone, but I guess this is just a different situation because she clearly didn't love him and she loved this other guy that she was sleeping with, even though obviously that ended up not being working out for her. Okay, the top comment says, so this woman knows she is headed for a wheelchair and she has a man that not only doesn't care but is going to help her have a home to accommodate a wheelchair and help care for her, and she dumps him so she can bang another guy who's cheating on his girlfriend. Talk about short-sighted stupidity. How progressive is her disease? Is she likely to die at an earlier age? She's in her late 40s now. This is what OP said. It took her from an able-bodied marathon enthusiast to a wheelchair in about 8 years or so. I'm unaware of her current prognosis. Who cares about her? How are you doing after the chemo? Are you all better? OP said, I'm great. Cancer-free for 2 years. Happy for you. Did you end up making the new house ADA compliant? I've noticed that local to me ADA houses sell for considerably more in less accessible homes with similar features and size. OP said, partially, I left the polished concrete floors, wood floors, widened doors, hallways, and radius requirements, but did away with the special cabinetry, ramps, and such. ADA homes do sell for a greater price, but the demographic is lower, driving some sellers to accept a less than optimal offer in order to simply get from under it. That sounds like a pretty nice deal. Even if it can't be listed as an ADA home, it's a feature that realtors can mention and would be easier for someone else to convert it the rest of the way if needed, rather than build from the ground up. Glad to hear you are cancer-free and living your best life. OP said it was listed as compliant, ready due to the existing features. And I'm so happy for him that he's cancer-free. Like, that would be the best feeling ever, to be cancer-free after having cancer. I can't even imagine. That's so... If you guys watch The Bachelor, you know Katie Thurston, that was the Bachelorette a few years ago, has breast cancer, and it seems like a lot. I think she's fine, like, not fine, obviously, but I think her prognosis seems to be okay. Like, she's going to go through a lot of treatment, and it's going to be obviously really hard, but I think that she's like, I don't think it's like a she's going to die in a couple years thing. Still, obviously, like, that's such a hard thing and scary thing to go through, not to mention the cost. to have cancer and then on top of that have to think about paying so much money to go through treatment. It's crazy to me that that's something that we have to worry about as a society, is paying so much money to, that's like, if you guys have watched the Black Mirror, the first fucking episode where the woman, I'm not going to spoil it, but if you haven't watched it, please go watch it, because that is literally like the state of our healthcare system, paying out the ass just to stay alive. It's wild. It's literally like a dystopian. It's so dystopian. It really is. It's crazy to think about. And it's crazy to think that we're like not moving anywhere more towards a better healthcare system, and we're just moving so far away from anything good in society. And it's actually so wild. It's so wild. I could vomit just thinking about it. It's scary. The title of the next story is "A Woman Let Her Dog Crap on the Airport Floor, so I crapped on her plans." While walking to my gate at LAX, I noticed a woman whose dog was in the middle of doing its business. The woman was loudly FaceTiming with her back to the dog, so I assumed she didn't notice. That was likely the thought shared by the gentleman who tried to get her attention. "Excuse me, miss," he said in a polite tone. The woman glared at him. "Your dog," he sheepishly continued, pointing to the mid-poop pup. The woman rolled her eyes and went back to FaceTime as the man slinked away, seemingly embarrassed. "Some people," she bellowed to her FaceTime companion with no hint of irony, "are just so damn rude." When her dog finished, the woman started walking away, leaving everything right on the airport floor. Another woman tried to stop her. "You're not going to clean that up?" she asked, as shocked as the rest of us were. "They have people for that," the offender replied, disappearing into the crowd, as much as someone yelling into their phone can disappear into a crowd. I stood near the pile and warned people to walk around it while someone else got a maintenance worker's attention. No one said anything. We were so shocked that anyone could be that horrible. When I got to my gate, the woman was there too. Great. We were both going to Tokyo. When I travel abroad, I get embarrassed by other Americans doing things 100 times less embarrassing than leaving animal feces on the floor of an airport. To make it worse, her dog was now barking at everyone who walked by. I have nothing against people flying with their dogs. I do it often, but it is a privilege I take seriously. My dog is well trained and behaves better than most people. He certainly behaves better than that asshole. Speaking of assholes, there is a pet relief area inside LAX, past security just 2 gates down from where the party pooper let her dog go into town. It didn't matter. She was the type of person to litter 3 feet from an empty garbage can. While her dog barked at the world, the woman had moved from FaceTiming with no headphones to listening to music with no headphones. I don't like to throw around the word sociopath, but I don't know how else I could explain just how selfish and terrible of a person she was. I bet her car was somewhere in long-term parking, parked across 3 spots with paint on the bumper from the child's bike she hit without leaving a note. Everyone else tried to ignore her, sitting as far away from her as they could. I am not everyone else. I sat down right next to the horrible woman. "Are you going to London on business?" I said. "I'm going to Tokyo," she responded gruffly, annoyed that I interrupted her DJing. "Oh," I said, "then you better hurry. That flight got moved to gate 53C. This is the flight to London." I figured I could give her a little moment of a panic as payback for how terribly she was treating everyone. I didn't predict what would happen next. She grabbed her bags and her dog in a huff and stormed out of the gate without even checking. She was so self-involved, she didn't notice that the monitor at our gate still said Tokyo, and almost everyone at the gate was Japanese. Based on her actions, she believed me that the flight had been moved, so she's also an asshole for not thanking me. Some people, I thought as I watched her rush away from the gate without stopping her, are just so damned rude. The flight to Tokyo was at gate 69A, so the 53 gates were on the other side of the next terminal, and I felt guilty knowing she probably berated some poor clerk who had explained to her that there was no gate 53C. I don't know if she made it back to this flight before we took off or not, but I didn't see her board and I don't hear her dog. Her missing her flight was not my original intention, but it would be a fine punishment for her being so rude to everyone and making a low-paid stranger clean feces off the door. What makes me wonder if I went too far is the knowledge that Delta only has one flight to Tokyo each day. Whoops. Maybe she can rebook on another airline. I hear they have people for that. Edit, for those of you who want to play internet detective and demand to see my ticket, as if that even proves anything. I'm a stand-up comedian with a show in LA last night and a show in Tokyo tonight. But if that's not enough for you, here's my ticket, and yes, Delta does allow dogs on flights to Japan. Edit 2, rip my inbox in a ridiculous 1,000-message way. Thanks to all the nice folks, especially the people who are coming to shows, etc. I'm trying to get all your comments, but it may take me a few days. For those who are being dicks, I hope you wheel your suitcase into her dog shit.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
That's such a good plan. I would not be able to think of like a good revenge plan like that. I would more just be like, probably be like, why are you being so rude to everyone? Why are you being such an asshole? And also, why didn't you pick up your dog shit? Like, I would be so annoying and just not even be able to like think of anything good to say. But I feel like I would say something if she was just treating everyone like shit. I'd be like, girl, who are you? And why do you think that you can just let your dog shit on the floor? That's wild. Especially like even when you're outside, when you're on the grass, like you pick up your dog's shit. You pick it up. What do you mean? I'm so confused why you wouldn't in the middle of an airport. They have people for that? Oh, really? Yeah, you should be that person. You should have to pick up dog shit everywhere you go because I cannot believe people like that actually exist. Like, that's so wild to me. And I hope that she missed that flight. I really hope. And I hope the next day that flight got canceled or something because that's so crazy. My biggest pet peeve as well is people talking on speakerphone in the middle of a public place and also listening to stuff in the middle of a public place on like full blast. It's crazy how people can be so like not self-aware that they are like fine with doing that kind of stuff because I'm always so extra self-aware and I just like don't want to bother anyone ever around me that I will like torture myself to be out of people's way and the least annoying person around, you know? Like I never want to annoy anyone in public unless they're being annoying and like rude, then I'll be like right back to you. But I just can't believe people have that in their brain where they're just fine with behaving this way in public and to other people. She believed me that the flight had been moved, so she's an asshole for not thanking me. Someone said lost it here. OP said, hee, that was my favorite part too. It's totally true though. In her reality at that moment, I was a helpful stranger who saved her from missing her flight, and she had the gall to not thank me. I mean, how is that going to go over with the person she's trying to rebook with? I don't know how it works, but I'd imagine she doesn't have a good reason to not have to pay for a new ticket, right? Rude ass lady is going to tell them some guy told me it was gate 53C, and they're going to be like, that's not even a gate number. Why didn't you ask an employee? You didn't even check with anyone or look at the signs. Like I said, I don't know how that works, but it sounds like a lame excuse on her part. Also, you can bet she's not going to treat the airline employees any better than she treated everyone else, and they probably won't be wanting to go too far to help her out. Good stuff. The only downside is she's probably going to post on social media about how the world is against her and how terrible airline employees are for refusing to help her. True. The most annoying thing ever is a rude ass lady that is just rude to everyone. It's like, oh, you just want to punch them in the face so bad, and then obviously like the worker that they're being rude to has to be nice because like the customer is always right, and like even though I would beg to differ with airline employees, I feel like they have like a different kind of system because they can be honestly so rude. I feel like more times than not I come across an airline employee that is so rude, or like the TSA workers, they be yelling, they be screaming, and I get so scared. I'm like scared to even ask a question. I feel like it's like Miss Trunchbull, you know, from Matilda, and you're just like scared that she's gonna pick you up from your picky tails and swing you around and like fling you across the fucking airport. I get so scared. They're like, I'll ask, oh, are we supposed to take take your shoes off? Like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for asking. Like, I will literally just end it now. I'll just end my life. Okay, sorry that I'm such an inconvenience to you. I know that it must get so annoying to have to do that repetitively all day, being like, take out your laptops and take out your blah blah blah. But you know what's annoying is the fact that sometimes it's different. It's like, oh, leave your laptops in your bag this time, and then the next day you'll be on a flight and it'll be like, no, take your laptops out, and they'll be like so pissed that you didn't know that. But then it's like, wait, but yesterday we didn't have to, so that's why I thought maybe we weren't gonna, you know, like it needs to be one constant. That's what stresses me out, is that sometimes it's different, and I don't know what constitutes like the change for that. Why does it change sometimes, and why are you fine putting your or leaving your laptop in your bag sometimes, but then on other occasions you have to take it out. Like, I don't understand that part, and that bothers me because it needs to be constant so that I know what to do. Because sometimes I'll go to take my laptop out and they'll like scream at me as if I'm supposed to know to like leave my laptop in my bag. They're like, no, you're not supposed to take that out. I'm like, but this is like protocol at every single airline I've ever been to. But then one time randomly it's not. You're stressing me out. You're stressing me out. That's the end of the story time segment. We're going to move on to the advice segment. If you ever want unprofessional advice from me, the Google form is linked in the description below. Just leave me as much detail as possible and I'll try to help you as much as I can. This one says, "Hi Jamie, love your videos. Your personality resonates so deeply with me and it's so refreshing to finally hear people voice aloud things I think to myself every day. I feel less crazy. Love you so much. It's so cute. Anyways, I'm a 19-year-old girl, so young, even though I feel like I'm wasted away my life already. And all of my friends are pretty late bloomers when it comes to dating and such. Recently, my best friend has been seeing this guy, and it makes me irrationally jealous. She's always been so beautiful and hardworking, so I'm happy for her in a way and genuinely believe she deserves someone who finds her just as perfect as I do. But, and a big but, I am so jealous. I feel so threatened with a new person that I know she will be putting a lot of focus on. I've also never had boys be interested in me before, so it makes me feel like something is wrong with me. Why no boys my age ever liked me in school or asked me out when I go to places to mingle on purpose? I guess I just feel very insecure at the moment. Any advice for how to handle jealousy when your friends start dating? Have you ever felt like this? Would love any feedback. Being a girl is so hard sometimes." Honestly, I feel like what you're experiencing is probably a lot more common than you think it is, and you might feel like shit for feeling that way, but it's so valid. And you're also really have to think that you're only 19. Like, you have lived barely any of your life. You're like in that weird transitional phase in between not being a kid anymore, but not really being an adult anymore. And you're trying to figure out your life and trying to figure out who you are. And then adding relationships into the mix is just like already so much pressure as a 19-year-old. And then to add relationships into the mix and like feel like you need to catch up to someone else in your life, or you need to have people, like, I totally understand and you are so valid. Like, obviously, honestly, I feel like in high school I didn't typically, I mean, I think I got like a normal amount of attention from boys, but I definitely didn't get as much as like in college. I think like in college I definitely found my footing a lot more, and I don't know if it I don't know what it was, but I think maybe my confidence was a little bit better than I was in high school. I was a very, very insecure kid growing up a lot of the time, and I like honestly looked at myself as so ugly and scary. Like, I would always look at myself like I was a literal ogre. And when I look back at myself, and I feel so bad for that kid because I was so cute, and I'm like, why did I think I was the ugliest person alive? Like, I genuinely was like, wow, I have to get facial reconstruction and like change every single feature about my face. And that lasted up until like, honestly, probably it got started getting better a little bit like junior senior year of high school, and then it really didn't start like getting fully better until like end of college. Like, I was very insecure for a long time. I'm definitely a lot better now. Obviously, there are things that I get insecure about sometimes, and honestly, being on social media makes it a little harder sometimes because I will get like random little comments that usually wouldn't bother me, but then some days I'm just a little bit more vulnerable. Like, for example, sometimes I'll get comments about my mole, which I've never thought about in my whole entire life. I've always been very confident with my mole, honestly. I've never, like, even growing up being super insecure, my mole was never something that I was insecure about. I never even really thought about it, to be honest. Like, I have always loved my mole, and I feel like it's always been like kind of a part of who I am in some way. It's been like part of my identity because it's something that's different and unique about me. And I feel like it's because my mom definitely taught me that. Like, it was something that was unique about me. And there was a time where a lot of people wanted moles and like would draw them on because of it was like a trend. Because like Sidney Crawford and Marilyn Monroe and all of that. And then recently, like the past year or so that I've been on social media, I've been getting comments about my mole, like user 91234556, obviously. But I'm like, wait, why are you commenting about my mole? Like, that's new insecurity unlocked. I never have been insecure about it before. I don't know. But that's not the point here. Sorry. I'm doing what that girl said and like bringing the situation back to me. So rude of me. No, I'm just kidding. But I just want to let you know that like it's okay to feel insecure, because I felt insecure so much of my life, and like I just want to let you know that it's going to get better, and that's kind of what I'm trying to tell you, and like tell you my personal experience with being insecure growing up, and just letting you know that it's valid to feel that way and that it gets better. One thing that you should definitely remember is that feelings aren't facts, and jealousy is not evil or shameful, and it's totally fine to feel jealous about things that your friends are doing that maybe you're a little bit late on or you're a little bit behind on. And it definitely doesn't mean that you're a bad friend or that you don't love your best friend or that you're not happy for her in some way. Like, it's more of like an envious feeling, and it's okay to want and crave that same kind of connection that she's getting from other people as well. I feel like the biggest thing here is just letting yourself feel that without judgment, and just when you let yourself feel something instead of trying to push it away, I feel like it can just like pass a little bit easier. Comparison is definitely the thief of joy, and I have experienced that in so many situations. It's something that I feel like we'll experience for our whole lives, no matter what stage of life we're in. We could be in the best stage of our lives and we're still going to end up comparing ourselves. But I just feel like it's so important to recognize that you're comparing and that it is stealing your joy from you. I know that it can definitely feel like no boys like me equals you're not worthy, which is obviously absolutely wrong and not true. And that's something that is probably you're convincing yourself of, but romantic attention does not define your worth. And it just means that it's not your time yet, and that's okay. You're only 19. Like, I promise you, it's going to come and you're going to have that time in your life. As much as like it's obviously so easy for me to say, is like cherish the timing of your life and also cherish the time of your life that you're in right now, and like don't try to rush it, because one day you're going to miss this time. Like, you're going to miss the time where you don't have relationship drama, or you don't have a relationship, or you don't have like a guy to worry about, or a guy breaking your heart. And like, I know that's a lot easier said than done, but I feel like that's one thing that I really wish that I did, was just when I wasn't in a relationship, like cherishing that time of not being in a relationship and just like being still with that moment in my life and realizing that it will come in the future, and it's just gonna take a little bit more time, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not worthy of romantic love or romantic attention. It doesn't mean that you're undesirable. It just means that your people or your person just hasn't shown up yet. Just remember that you're not broken, you're not unlovable. Your time is going to come, and it's okay, and your self-worth is not determined on how quickly, a guy can come into your life and how quickly, like, don't, just try not to compare. I know how hard it is though, and I know that it's like such a struggle. One thing that I would recommend, and I recommend this in a lot of scenarios, I feel like this just helps so much, is one, journaling, trying to get your feelings out without having to tell someone, and just like you can be your raw, vulnerable self. And it can be a lot easier to process your emotions when you can like write it down, and then you can look it over and read it, and like that will help process it. And then also talking to someone close to you, but maybe someone that like isn't friends with her, or someone that you really really trust, so that you can be your vulnerable and raw self with them and telling them like how you feel. And obviously you're doing that with me right now, which hopefully I'm helping a little bit, so that, because I can relate. Like, I can understand it's frustrating to feel that way, and it's going to be okay. I just want to make sure that you understand that it's going to be okay. I feel like even at my age, I compare myself with a lot of the times, and obviously, I bring myself back down to earth sometimes and realize that like it's okay to be at a different point in my life than someone that's also my age. And it's more with like career success and things like that. It's not really with like relationships, or because I'm very happy with where I am in my relationship right now. And obviously a lot of people my age are like married and on to 2 kids by now, and I don't resonate with that. So like I don't feel behind in that sense of the word at all. Being a girl is definitely hard, and not even sometimes, a lot of the time. Like, being a girl can be so confusing sometimes, but it's also can be super beautiful sometimes, and like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love being a girl, honestly. Like, personally, being a girl is my favorite. Like, I love so much that comes with being a girl. Just remember that you're doing amazing, sweetie, as Kris Jenner would say. You're self aware and you're kind hearted and you're trying to work through your emotions instead of bottling them up, which is huge. Like, we're trying to work through your emotions, and just being self aware is honestly like it's the first step in like being a good person, I feel like, because at least you know that the feeling is there and you can process it and work through it instead of just like projecting that onto your friend and projecting your insecurities onto your friend, you know? It's so important to recognize stuff like this about ourselves. So I hope that helps a little bit. I hope I didn't ramble too much because sometimes I get a little bit out of hand with the rambling over here, you know? Um, but yeah, I hope everything works out for you. And uh, to be 19, it's actually crazy that I was 19 8 years ago, right? 8 years? Are you kidding? No. I'm still 19. I still feel 19. It's crazy because obviously you think you're going to grow up so fast. And I feel like when you're 19, you look at like my age, 27, as so old and so mature, but don't feel that way at all. I do not feel so old and so mature. I feel so young. And I never thought I feel like when you're younger, you always see older people and you just think you never believe them being like, "Oh, I feel so young." You're like, "Okay, sure. Sure, you feel so young." But I still hear like 40-year-olds being like, "I still feel so young. I still feel like I'm 15, 20 years old." And I'm like, "Oh my god, is that feeling ever going to go away?" That's really scares me because I don't want to feel this young forever. I want to feel like my age, you know? I want to feel mature, and obviously I think it's nice sometimes to feel young, but at a certain age, I'm like, I want to start feeling my age. Like when I'm 40, I want to start feeling 40 or at least 35, I hope, for the love of God. Like, I feel like every year I get older, it's just more responsibilities, but I don't feel any more responsible. Like, I don't feel any more responsible. I just feel like I have to force myself to be responsible. That's really all I feel like my life is about, is just forcing myself to be responsible, forcing myself to be an adult, even though I would rather not. I would rather go. It's crazy how I really wish that when you were younger, you could cherish, because obviously you can tell people that are younger to like, oh, cherish when you're young, you know? Everyone always tells you that. And you're just like, shut up, old lady. Like, ugh, get out of my face. I want to be older. I want to be a mature adult. And then you're a mature adult and you're like, no, I want to be young. I want to be young again. I can't believe I didn't cherish the times that I was young and I wanted to grow up so fast. I always think about that. I'm like, ugh, girl, you were so happy watching Clifford, playing Pokemon Match with your grandma, like making fun little concrete stones with whatever marbles and stuff that you would do, doing slip and slides down your backyard with your grandma. Well, my grandma wouldn't do the slip and slides, but that was like so fun. And it was fun at the time, obviously, but I feel like still I always wanted to be older. I always thought about what it would be like to be older and to be a mature adult. No. If I could pick, I would go back to being a young, but also like obviously I want someone to take care of me and not have to think about it. Like that's the one thing that I miss so much, is just being a kid that doesn't have to think about anything. Now it's like, why are there so many things I have to do to keep myself alive? Why do I have to buy food to keep myself alive? Why do I have to drink so much water? Why do I have to think about all these things? Why do I have to file taxes, go to the dentist by myself, schedule my own dentist appointments? You're kidding. Schedule my own doctor's appointments, my own gyno appointments, my own why are there so many appointments? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I wish there was one doctor for everything so that like I could go to the doctor once a year, spend the whole day there. They can do my teeth, my coochie, my whatever else I need done, dermatology, like anything, eye doctor. Please, because I'm sick and tired of making appointments, okay? I don't even like I never make appointments, to be honest. I have to force myself because I have OCD or ADHD, not OCD. I have ADHD and it makes me paralyzed. Making appointments is my biggest fear. I hate making appointments, and it's not that I'm scared of talking to people on the phone. It's just that it feels like such a daunting big task. And I've talked about this so many times before, but it just genuinely, oh my God, it never gets easier. It's really such a terrible feeling. And it's like, bitch, it's not that hard to just make an appointment. Call them and say you want an appointment and do it. But why is that the hardest thing in the world for me? I don't know. Right now, I'm struggling with going to pick up my medication. I passed the Walgreens 10 times. I could have picked it up. Why am I holding it off? Why am I not picking it up? I just passed it yesterday. I could have picked it up yesterday. I always end up, for some reason, I don't know why. Please, help, help. Like, it's just another thing. That's why it's nice that with my doctor, like, we always plan our appointments ahead of time. Like, when I'm at the appointment, at the end of the appointment, we always plan for 3 months, and then we plan it and we schedule it. But then comes the day or the week that it's like my doctor's appointment, and then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreading it, even though it's a 5 minute easy ass appointment. It's literally the easiest thing ever. But it's daunting. It's daunting. But yeah. Oh, I also forgot to introduce you guys. I forgot I was wearing this shirt. This is my friend I've talked about a lot. That was my best friend in high school. She passed away in 2020. I wore it this morning and then I was like, oh, this will be good for filming because I feel like I've mentioned her a lot in my episodes, but you obviously don't know who she is. So this is her. And this was her soon after she passed away was her 20 it was like a couple months after she passed away was her 23rd birthday. And so this was her 23rd birthday shirt. On the back it says her name and like how long, 1997 to 2020, and something else, I think happy birthday or something. Yeah, her mom actually texted in a group chat the other day with me and a few of her other friends from like college and also from our high school, asking if like what we wanted to do because the anniversary of her death is coming up and it's going to be 5 years. And she was talking about how she wanted to maybe do something like get together, which obviously I would 100% fly back to Iowa for because I didn't get to go to her funeral because it was COVID. And oh my God, stop. I don't want to cry. But I had to attend her funeral. Okay. I had to attend her funeral on Zoom in 2020 because of COVID. Like, the only people that could go to it was her family, and I think it was very limited. And so that is definitely really hard because I feel like I don't know that it would have brought any more closure, but it was just like very dystopian to see her on a camera, like on my computer, laying in her casket. Like, it was just such a weird feeling. And I really wish that it could have been like a funeral that we could have attended because I don't know, I think it would have been a lot better for her parents as well. I just can't imagine like losing a child and then having to not have like a regular funeral and see the people show up that loved your kid, because I feel like although it doesn't make you feel better permanently, I feel like temporarily seeing how many people loved your kid can at least help a little bit for like the time being. But her mom did give me a little necklace with her ashes in them, so I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, I didn't think I was gonna cry because I haven't really like I used to cry a lot the first few years. I used to cry a lot the first few years after her death, like all the time, like once a week at least, just randomly. And then I feel like over the last couple years, I haven't really cried about it unless I like talk about it. Then I will start crying, like certain things, if I talk about it. So I didn't think I was gonna cry because, I mean, obviously I'm not over it and I never will be, but over time, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure if you've dealt with loss before, you know, like, over time, it's not that you move on, but I don't know. I just started crying less about it. Maybe it's just because it's been so long that it's like more solidified that it's real. Whereas at first it didn't really feel real for a while. It was like, no, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've processed it a little bit more now. But I feel like all my makeup is gone now. And I still have to film 2 episodes after this. But, anyways, I love you guys. And I'm going to edit out a lot of that crying because I had to stop like 10 times because I don't want to like full blown just be crying on camera with you guys. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye. My merch is out. Yeah, but this is it. And this comes in pink, black, and white. If you want to get a little cute piece of merch, go grab one.
Link is in the description to purchase.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.